Next thing I'd like to do is introduce to you one of Bethlehem's own, Emily Weiss. She is a graduate of that college in East Lansing and has joined the Peace Corps and has been in Africa and has been recalled. But I'll let her talk to you about that a little bit. But I introduce you, Emily Weiss.
Hi, I'm Emily Weiss, and I'm a Peace Corps volunteer in Guinea in West Africa. And I was there for 8 months and was just temporarily removed with other volunteers from Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea because of Ebola. And so the plan is when the situation is under control that we'll go back to the country. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Peace Corps using the framework that Peace Corps gives us, which is a framework of 3 goals. The first goal is to help the people of interested countries meet their need for trained men and women. And so this is basically our work that we do, what we were sent over there to do. So I'm a public health volunteer, and in my village of Framalia, where I live, I am partnered with the health center, which you can see in the picture here. And so I go into the health center every day to meet with the different health workers and to see the things that are going on. But I can't give any vaccinations or actual treatment. But I can help with paperwork and organizational things like that, and also taking blood pressures and weights and things like that. But one thing that I do as a health educator is what we call sensibilizations. And so that's basically a health seminar. And we cover topics like malaria or hand washing or reproductive health, things that are really necessary to talk about with the community. And I work with another health worker who helps me translate into the local language. And some other things that I do as public health work include things right within the community, like going door to door to hang mosquito nets. And the picture on the right, that's something called a tippy tap, which basically makes running water out of, in a place where there is no running water, using local materials. And so that's the first goal of Peace Corps. And the last 2 goals of Peace Corps are all about cultural integration. And so I think that's so interesting that these 2 of the goals of the 3 goals of Peace Corps aren't even involving the work that I do over there. And so, you know, when I talk about my work, and, you know, people think of me over there, you know, in the health center and stuff like that. But really, such a huge part of Peace Corps is just about being with people and the cultural exchange and learning about the people in Guinea. And so the second goal is teaching Guineans about Americans. And I find this to be very easy because Guineans love Americans. They love American clothing and American music, like Rihanna and Shakira. And they are very curious. They ask a lot of questions. And so as a volunteer over there, you learn to get used to funny questions. You know, something that I guess get asked pretty often is about the moles or freckles on my arm. And people ask, are those mosquito bites? And that's just because they've never seen a mosquito bite on white skin before. And so you learn to just not be self-conscious about things like that. And it's all about, you know, a learning experience. And the third goal of Peace Corps is teaching Americans about Guineans. And so to do this, I really have to become part of the Ghanaian culture so that I can share that with you when I come home. And that's really where I find the most joy in being there. That's where I have the most amazing stories. And it's not, to me, it's not all about how effective my work is and how, you know, how much work I'm doing, but really, I just love spending time with people. And so, you know, some of the things I do day to day are greeting literally every single person that you walk past and playing with neighbor kids and learning Malinke, the local language, and going to soccer games and watching the World Cup on people's TVs and watching women braid hair and going to the weekly market and meeting, seeing so many people that I've become close with, and cooking and eating with people and breaking fast during the month of Ramadan, and going to traditional festivals and weddings and dancing. And I think something that really captures that well is the last night that I spent in my village before coming home. And so our director of Peace Corps sent a mass text message to all the volunteers in Guinea saying that we're going to be temporarily evacuated because of Ebola. And so there were a lot of frenzied calls. I called the other volunteers, my friends, and we're packing quickly and everything. But that night I had plans to go out with a friend of mine from the health center because it was the month of Ramadan, and at the end there's 3 days of festivals and dancing. And so we had planned to go out that night. And so after all this, crazy packing and all that, I still went out. I went to something called a soiree, which is basically an outdoor dance with a lot of young people. And as I'm there dancing to Ghanaian reggae music and Rihanna, and everyone's dressed so trendy, and we're having a great time and dancing late into the night. All I could think about is, what do people back home think of when they think of Guinea? The media has done such a good job portraying Guinea as this place that's has this kind of scary things are happening. You see people in hazmat suits and so much death with this disease. But that's not what I see when I see Guinea. And yes, Ebola's there, and yes, it's really devastating to that country because there's so few resources to fight it. But that's not all that Guinea is about. It's not just some sad, diseased, weak country to be pitied, but a place where there's so much life, and a place where you so deeply live every day. And so I imagine that a lot of people, when I come back home, think, oh, you must be so relieved. You must, I bet you're so glad to have gotten out of there. And really, to me, it's the opposite. It was really hard to leave my village and to leave my friends and the family that I've created there. And I think a friend of mine, another Peace Corps volunteer, put it so perfectly when she said on her Facebook about how hard it was to leave our villages. She said, "It is difficult to have loved ones all over the world, but what a beautiful difficulty to have." And so I'd like to thank you, the Bethlehem congregation, for being such a supportive family to me throughout this whole journey. And I pray that God blesses you as much as he's blessed me with loved ones all over the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. And I think, Emily, your plans once the Peace Corps is done to go on to medical school, is that correct?
Public health.
Public health, okay, public health. Well, be assured that our prayers are with you, Emily. God bless you.